So, for this 4th of July weekend, I watched The Forever Purge, and the best word I can use to describe it is frustrating. And this is coming from someone who's a fan of all of these movies, including the first one. Now, I like to compare the Purge franchise to the Saw franchise. After Saw 2, fans of that movie, including myself, continued to go to the theater just because we thought the next movie would maybe be as good as the first two. We waited and waited and waited until we finally got Saw 6. And now we're stuck waiting again, but that's a totally different video. Similarly, I've continued my quest through the Purge franchise in hopes that they could finally recapture the magic that was the Purge anarchy. And I was kind of excited for this one because listening to the writer James DeMonico, this wasn't just some studio cash grab to keep the franchise going. Originally, he had planned for the first Purge to be the final film, and that made sense. You've got your original trilogy about how the Purge gets eradicated, and then the prequel to see how it was incepted. But he came out and said that he wanted to write another one because he had a really cool idea of how he could actually end the series, and I was on board with that. But that's also part of why this movie is frustrating as shit. You can see a lot of his ideas and themes being presented, and they're actually really interesting. The budget for this movie is also like double the budget of the last 4, and you can feel it. The chaos and destruction is pretty apocalyptic, and the scale is way more realized due to this movie taking place in multiple cities. The Forever Purge could have been the Saw 6 of the Purge franchise. But holy shit, there is so much dumb stuff in this movie. Now, the trailers actually did a pretty good job of hiding what this movie is actually about, so just a warning, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that's not in the trailer. But I don't consider it a spoiler because it happens literally at the beginning of the movie. So, the Purge Night is just back now. New founding fathers were put back in power, and basically the opening credits established that the entire first 3 movies don't even fucking matter anymore. But that's not even the stupid part. The quote-unquote purge that happens in this film only takes up about like 10 minutes of screen time. I'm serious, the bulk of this movie is about the illegal shit that people are doing after the purge. So there was literally no point in negating what happens in the first 3 movies. They could have had this just take place in a world where the purge is still eradicated. And that's what I thought this movie was going to be about based on the trailers, because that would make perfect sense. The characters in this movie are pretty one-dimensional, but I don't really require anything further than that in a Purge movie. However, there is an attempt to do this redemption arc with the guy from Ford vs. Ferrari because he's a racist that the movie wants us to come around to like by the ending. But there is a very important step in redemption arcs that this movie forgets. The fucking payoff. They give him some decent character moments throughout the second act, but by the end of the movie, he's still a fucking racist and he never admits the error in his ways. But writing aside, by far, the movie's biggest weakness is its direction. This movie is shot to absolute fucking shit. There is one thing that I ask for in a Purge movie: some cool kills. Now, there are a couple of decent ones that are written, but you can't see shit because the camera is so zoomed in and there are so many cuts to the point where it's not even satisfying when someone dies because you can't even see them fucking die. I will give credit to this scene in El Paso where the characters are tearing their way through this burning city and it's all done in one shot. That was pretty cool. But that's it. That's all the good directing this movie has to offer. And this is also kind of nitpicky, but the film does something that I absolutely hate more than anything else in horror movies: false jump scares. False jump scares aren't like regular jump scares, because in good jump scares, the thing that scares you is supposed to be scary. But false jump scares are something like this. It's just a person, or dog, or cat, or something not scary, accompanied with a loud noise. And that is one of the laziest filmmaking techniques that I have ever seen. And there are not one, but 2 sequences that are entirely built around a false jump scare, and this is a movie that doesn't even need to be scary to be entertaining. Purge movies want to be horror movies so bad, but they're not. They're disturbing dystopian action thrillers. That's where they thrive, and that's all they really have to do to make me happy. There were some cool ideas, but this movie just wouldn't stop getting in its own way. C-, I'm gonna go watch Anarchy now.